I'm turning 20. I still feel like I'm at least 17, but it's here. This is pretty much my second, but also my first COVID birthday. Basically, everything went to crap on my birthday last year. I just find it ironic that last year we had no idea.
We had absolutely no idea.
The magnitude of this. It's been really hard to look forward to today because I can't be with my friends, but there's nothing we can do about that. I wanted to make a video looking at the last decade of my life. I have grown a lot mentally, emotionally.
I wish I could say physically, but I literally haven't grown very much.
When I'm 30, I'll look back at this and be like, wow.
She was a nutcase.
I'd also like to go back through the years and give myself back then a piece of advice of what I know now. Let's get started. In 2011, I turned 10. I really was excited to be 10. I found being a grown-up fascinating. I had this game on my Nintendo DS called Style Savvy. You have your own little avatar and you get to own a clothing store, design some clothes, sell to people, buy your own clothes, dress yourself up. I mean, it was so fun. And I really just wanted to be a grown-up and do that, and I thought it was just so cool. Clearly I thought I was a fashionista already. I was so excited to grow up, and I wish I hadn't grown up that quickly that year. So much happened. We had a family emergency within my unit at home. When someone in your family goes through something, everyone in the family experiences the situation in a different way. And when that situation hit, I grew up. I took on an older sister kind of role because I felt like I needed to, and I felt like I was being counted on to be strong, and I still feel that way today.
This is about to be a therapist session.
I feel that I need to be a strong figure and a very confident and mature figure in my family, so I don't strike any worry in my parents because they have enough to worry about already. I was going from 4th to 5th grade. I felt like I couldn't relate to people my age. I just always felt that I was somewhere else, and I was like an adult being a very worried adult, which is the
source of my anxiety.
I think what I took out of that year was just the importance of being attentive to people that you love and being there for them, and making sure that you say verbally and express the love that you feel for these people. That's what I learned. But what I would go back and tell myself is, yes, you had to grow up, but don't forget to be a kid too. On to 2012. 2012 was a big year for me. A year of many adventures. I remember we went to Vegas on a trip with my dad for his job, and we rode in a limo for the first time, which I thought was grand. I mean, I couldn't drink the champagne in there, but wow. It was a really, really fun trip. One of the bigger things that happened that year was I graduated from 5th grade and moved on to 6th grade. 5th grade, by the end of it, I just wanted to get out of there. I just remember that some girl threw a shoe at me because she didn't like me. And, I had just about had it by then. And I remember after graduating, we, as a family, went on a cruise, which I think was my second cruise ever. Then I started school at Ascension as a 6th grader. 6th grade was hard. I mean, you've got a bunch of new kids. You're putting them together. There's fresh boys, there's fresh girls, who's gonna date, who's not. I just didn't know who my friends were. I can really see that my anxiety started back then.
Oh no.
I remember being terrified of like the Mayan December 2012 apocalypse type thing. So what I would tell myself is calm down. Let loose a little. It's okay to socialize. I know this is an awkward situation. You don't know these people. It's okay. Calm down. They're in the same boat as you. And maybe you'll make some friends. Let's just move on to 2013. In 2013, I turned 12. This was the year, I think, that my two main obsessions in life, One Direction and Friends, hit because
I was lonely.
I just needed people, and where were the people? On the internet. People didn't really like the things that I liked, so I was very gravitated towards that because I could meet people virtually who liked what I like. And we celebrated my 12th birthday in Vegas. We went to Dallas and we saw them in the American Airlines Center. And later that year, we went to New York for the second time. I really was falling in love with the city. We went to the top of the Rock, and as a wee little Friends fan, I was just
Woo!
I was just so happy to be in New York. Jennifer Aniston had just had a movie. She was like promoting, or it came out, called We're the Millers, which is
Totally inappropriate for a 12-year-old.
And I just remember like being in Times Square and seeing like huge billboards of Jennifer Aniston's thing, and I had my mom's phone and I was like, as if my mom wanted pictures of Jennifer Aniston's We're the Millers. Why don't you take a picture of the freaking Times Square? No, I'm taking pictures of billboards.
It was nuts.
If there's anything that I could tell myself that year, get ready to be on the glasses train, because that's when I first got glasses. Let's move to 2014. In 2014, I entered my teens. 13. I believe I got my own phone by the end of 2013. This was the year that I think I met my first like actual internet friend. And I remember my parents and my sister even being a little hesitant, like, what if she's like a random 80-year-old guy? Which is
Always a possibility.
but I knew she wasn't. Honestly, she made things so much better for me. I still really didn't feel like I had friends at school. Like I had started finding some people, and I always also still kind of felt just different from people. I felt like I took things a lot more seriously. Going online and on Instagram and stuff was definitely a way for me to express what I was going through. People my age at school weren't watching Friends, and Friends honestly solidified my interest in the industry in general. So it started pretty early for me. I remember we went to Puerto Rico. I remember getting horribly sick on that trip. I remember catching something like the day or the next day that we got there, and it was horrible. But Puerto Rico was so pretty. We were in San Juan. My mom really wanted to go see the forest. Maybe it was a rainforest in San Juan. We didn't end up going, and my mom still brings that up today. You know, she wishes that we'd gone, and I feel horrible for that. I would love to go back there, take her there first thing. We saw One Direction again in El Paso, Texas, my lovely, lovely hometown. We saw them at the Sun Bowl Stadium at UTEP, and that was also the last time that I saw Zayn Malik in concert. That concert will always stick with me because it was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. We had like these giant foamy glow sticks. So you know I had it
Lit.
going like this. Concert just started. And I went like that.
And I hit something.
A mother-daughter next to me. And my 13-year-old
Dumbass.
I hit the mom in the head. I felt awful. I couldn't apologize enough. 2014 was also the year that I started playing basketball and then stopped after the season ended. I started to lose a lot of weight, and I just remember my grandparents visiting from El Paso in December and telling me, like, you look so thin, like, what's wrong? Why, like, are you eating? And honestly, they called my attention to it. I didn't want to repeat anything, and I was also pretty self-conscious at the time, so maybe I did see it before that I was losing weight, but it didn't look as alarming as my grandparents had thought, at least in my eyes. And I started to lose a lot of my hair as well due to stress, among other things. And that happened a lot more in the following year. That's, when I felt misunderstood by my classmates. I remember telling one of my friends, and she just kind of like made it into a joke, and I was like, I feel misunderstood. If I could go back and tell myself something in 2014, I would tell myself two things. One, eat right, and let's start trying to find some ways to up your confidence and relieve your stress. And another thing would be just suck it up, take some medicine, and go to the dang rainforest, because my parents are the best. I am so blessed to have them. They sacrifice and they do so much for my sister and I. The least we could have done was just go to the stupid rainforest. So let's go to the dark ages, known as 2015. In 2015, I turned 14. It's probably been one of the hardest years for me. I moved on from middle school to high school. The friends that I had moved on to a different school, and that friendship eventually faded. I was left with, being back at square one. I think the biggest challenge was losing my dog that year. We lost him in September, and I was already dealing with not having my friends, and that happened so early in the semester. It was so sudden. And that's been my first experience with loss. Nobody prepares you for that. My dog, his name was Rocky, and he was just the most precious soul in the world, and I loved him. I still love him. He had a brain tumor, and he had been having seizures for a few years, just once a year. Then one day, he just had so many in a day, and it was the most brutal thing to watch, to listen to, and to not be able to do something. And it was just all in the day. I was so upset because the main highlight of that year had been just a few months prior when we finally moved into our built house. We had been building forever. He was an outdoor dog because we weren't ready. We didn't know how to do an indoor dog, and we lived in a tiny apartment since we had moved here with him 8 or 9 years prior, so we could only have him outside. And he had the smallest backyard in that apartment.
What happened? He's starting to go crazy.
We were so excited to bring him here because he had an entire yard to roam in, and it was huge. It was more than triple the size of what he had, and he didn't even get I'm gonna cry. He didn't even get that much time to experience it. I hope he's happy in dog heaven. So as you can see, I got depressed that year and I didn't really know what to do with those emotions. After that, I was really broken. The year ended with some other highlights that I feel like helped boost up my spirits a bit. My sister was visiting colleges. She applied to some in California, and that was the first time that we got to go to Los Angeles, and we went, I believe, around Thanksgiving. The best part of that trip was that we got to go to Warner Brothers. I demanded that we go to the Warner Brothers studio and do the tour. I got to sit on the friend's couch, which is all I really wanted. And I got to share that with my little followers on my fan account. And it was just the peak in my fandom career. It was such a great moment. That year ended with my last One Direction concert, and I saw them at the Jingle Ball, which is basically a like festival type concert where there's a bunch of artists. I went with my dad, which was fun because he got to experience what I am like as a fangirl who was totally, completely, and utterly obsessed with One Direction.
My dad was very confused.
I could go tell myself anything. I think it would be that I know that it's tough right now. It's okay to start seeking some form of help. It's gonna be okay. Let's stop our crying. It's the sign of the times to move on to 2016. It was also a year of change. My sister graduated and was going off to college. As much as we have our
Fair share of differences.
I mean, I knew for a fact I was gonna miss her. I'm such an emotional person. It was weird because I was then again put in that kind of like, I'm old and I'm mature and like I'm the older gal and the other part with me was like, I'm young and I don't know what it's like to have my older sibling not live with me. And she was going so far away to UCLA. It was hard and I missed her a lot. I have so many like Snapchat memories saved up on my phone. Then I truly felt alone at school going into 10th grade. I just always felt like I was somewhere else. Not to say that I've gone through more than anyone else has gone through, but I just felt that I just couldn't relate to people because of what I had personally gone through. While I had a group of people, I felt as though I didn't belong. And it was that way for so long. I think pretty much almost that whole year. And I felt like no one gave a crap about it. You know, I was like, why can't people like understand me and listen to me? And it was also when I learned like that I deserve to be treated in the same way that I treat other people, you know, listening to them and respecting them. I remember we took a trip to Hawaii, which I loved. It was a very dramatic trip, to say the least, just because my family unit does not do well traveling together. But the parts that were good were good. It's a beautiful place, and I wasn't part of the drama, so I tried to just ignore it and enjoy the scenery around me. That trip is where I made my first like video blog type thing. And this is the year that I would say I got really comfortable in writing what I would tell myself. It's gonna be okay without Layla. If you feel as though you do not deserve the way you are being treated, don't put up with it. Just go. Sometimes it is better to be alone than around people who make you wish you were alone.
Does that make sense?
I hope so. Alrighty, let's move on to 2017. 2017, I hit the Sweet 16. It was a good year in some instances. I believe by that time I had gravitated towards a different group of people. Just kind of like that lost little puppy who was just going around being like, will someone take me? And some people did, and I appreciate that, but it just wasn't a good, I just didn't click. As I started to have more of an online, friendship outlet, I felt even more alone. As soon as school's up, I'm like,
oh, my friends,
I have to be alone and upset the next day at school. One of the coolest things that I got to do that year was meet my internet best friend for the first time in person, and she so happened to live in Canada. We have spring break birthdays, and we had spring break around the same time. My parents so graciously offered to take a little trip to New York, and we'd visit the city for a bit and then go up to Buffalo, which is right by the border, and see her. And she would come across the border and we'd have a night in the hotel and hang out, celebrate both of our birthdays. That trip took a turn when a blizzard hit and it was cut much shorter than expected. But nevertheless, I got to meet her despite being held in because of a blizzard and seeing the frozen Niagara Falls. It was so gratifying to have met my best friend, someone who I couldn't just see at school. That trip made everything for me. But I remember coming back from that trip and just feeling a bit down, like bittersweet. We traveled to Seattle, which was a really cool trip. Seattle is beautiful, and I started making videos for all of my trips that year as well. The best part of that year was getting my new boy.
My little noobly.
My dog.
Hello? Hey, Christmas. Oh my god. Oh my god, you're adorable. Oh my god, you're the smallest, most adorable thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yes,
so small. Oh my god, hi. Yes. Hello.
We got Louie. We felt that we were at a good time and a good emotional place to bring in a new dog, and he is the sunshine of our lives. We felt that we were at a good place to also raise an indoor dog. He is just the best, and I don't know where I would be emotionally without him.
Oh no. Please stop.
So I went into 11th grade and I started doing film. Film class was a blast. I was taking 11th grade. I said, you know what? I'm going to make this year a bit of a solo year. I don't really remember like hanging around with a specific group of people that year, and it was a lot better. In the middle of that fall semester in 2017, I went to see Harry Styles live on tour, solo, and it was a beautiful thing. His album was fan-freaking-tastic when he released it that year. I was obsessed with it. I had a really great time. I went with just my mom. I met some people, some of whom I still talk to online today. If there's something that I could go tell myself, to just realize early on you're unhappy, you feel isolated, make the decision and go solo earlier. Like, I know that might sound like a weird thing, but like, it was the better option for me. Let's get to the next year. 2018, a very big year. Halfway through 11th grade, I am turning 17, and it is time to start looking at my future. It was in that year when I was taking my film class that I realized I'm so interested in this. I really enjoy writing stories. Why don't I study it? It was that semester, the spring semester, that we were making our first short films the whole semester, so that I made my first short film that year. So that was the year that I started visiting colleges. I remember going to Disneyland that year for the first time, which was amazing. We visited the Griffith Observatory. I lived out my Rebel Without a Cause dreams. I was also living out my Grand Theft Auto dreams because I had only seen it from driving around in Grand Theft Auto, which is like one of my favorite games. And it was really fun to be there and just to look at the beautiful Los Angeles city where I hope to be one day. I celebrated my 17th, no party, no nothing, which I quite enjoyed.
Here I am, trying to take a selfie when, you know, I just turned into a popsicle. Thank you.
I got to sit front row at a Harry Styles concert. I didn't sit, actually. I stood for hours. I was at the front of the barricade. It was the best night of my life. 10 feet away from that man. That man and I made eye contact. We had a very short and quaint conversation.
And most importantly, don't give me too much credit, that was a terrible evening for myself. Try it again! Alright, give me a second, I'll do it.
I waited out there in the sun for hours.
There wasn't any parking? Oh, yeah. Like drive.
It's something that I will never forget. I just had a really great time with my family, and the summer was good. I had my dog, and I just remember just having a good time. I went to my first wedding. We took a really ambitious big trip as a family to Berlin, which was beautiful. And I just love exploring different cultures like that. And it was really fun. And after that, we took a flight from Berlin to Canada. And I got to see my friend, my internet friend again. I got to see her in person again. I got to see Niagara Falls when it wasn't frozen, which was epic. I would say that that was a tough trip. There were things that went unspoken between my friend and I. We were both just kind of experiencing different things in life, which happens, and our friendship kind of fell apart, unspoken. And it was really hard for a while because I went back to school for senior year, and not only did I not really have friends there, I also didn't have that I didn't have that friendship either. As senior year began, I kind of fell into a friend group. In the fall semester, it felt good. I also had some, again, I don't want to go into too much detail. I also had some boy things. Came out to nothing but my pain. So I learned a great lesson, but I would say in the fall semester, it started out good. So if I could go to my 17-year-old self and tell me something, it would be concerning my friend and that friendship that sank, because I was really hurt and bitter about it for a long time. It happens, and it's okay, and that I did nothing wrong. I was just being myself because I took it out on me. And there was really no one to take it out on because these things happen. We're in different countries, but that was honestly the biggest blip in my year. And I will continuously say that 2018 was the best summer, and that's all thanks to Mr. Harry Styles.
First of all, let me tell you one thing. Crying is very normal.
bring it to 2019. In 2019, I remember we took a trip to Vegas and we hadn't been in a while. This year, it was getting a bit sentimental. At the end of 2018, I had just been accepted to SMU. SMU was my top choice just because it felt the most realistic. It was about a good distance I felt away from home, which who knew that I would be home anyway doing school? This year I turned 18 and I had a birthday party, and being really happy with my friends at the time, something that I had never felt before. I went to Los Angeles and I took my senior pictures, which was such a boost in confidence for me. Honestly, I would say that that semester was when I peaked at self-confidence. I've been working on it a lot throughout high school. I wanted to at least be confident in myself and being alone with myself. And I reached peak confidence, I would say, in the spring semester. And I had a really fun photo shoot. Was it still awkward? Yes, but it was really fun. And I love Los Angeles. And it was really fun to spend that time with my parents. I just remember visiting SMU and being excited for the change that was going to come, even though it was very scary and daunting. I wanted to, take as many pictures and make as many memories as possible with my dog and my parents, and I really felt their pride, and it made me very proud, and I was just excited to study film. That summer was a bit dramatic. Friendships ended. There was miscommunication, jealousy, and I think that, me and my friends had just become so sick of school, and we ended up being sick of each other. I'm still only really friends with a few people from high school. I have no animosity towards what happened. I've grown and I'm over it, and I hope that those involved can say the same. Once August hit, it was time to go, and I met my new roommate, Annabelle, and we were living together, and over time we made new friends, and my little group formed, and I've never been happier. I was so afraid that I would never make friends, that it would just be another instance of what happened to me back in Amarillo at school here, but it was the complete opposite, and I'm just so glad to have the friends that I have now. So what I would tell myself in 2019 is to just be honest, so that way things didn't end so messy. That brings us to 2020. 2020, I had high hopes. I think we all did. We saw a new decade, new everything. Cut to January 16th, 17th, and I jacked up my ankle jumping, and I was on crutches for a while. From then on, I knew that this year would be downhill, and it was. But I was still thriving. I was still having a good time with my buddies in college. Then it was my 19th birthday, and my parents came, and I went out to dinner with them. And March 12th, I think, was the day that we found out that we were having a 2-week spring break. Hooray! So great. We love that.
We love that.
I went out to dinner with my family and my friends. That was pretty much the last time I ate in a restaurant, and that was the last time that I saw my friends. Just handled the rest of the semester at home. My anxiety about everything peaked. 2020 in general just
sucked.
Highlight that came out of 2020 was rekindling my friendship with my internet best friend. When everything started happening with the pandemic, honestly, she came to mind and I had to reach out. We rekindled our friendship and we discussed what happened to us, and we've grown since, and I'm so happy to still call her a friend of mine. Nothing interesting happened there. I just got to be at home. I mean, my sister graduated from college, which is great. That's a good thing for her. I mean, my family took our first photo shoot for a magazine that never came out, by the way. If I could go back to 2020 and tell myself something, I would tell myself to seek help early. I'm so glad I'm in therapy now, but I would tell myself to go. I would have started therapy in the summer. Now that I am almost 20, here's what I want for the future. I want to write. I want to write movies. I want to make movies.
And hopefully be financially stable.
To end this video, while I am nervous about turning 20, I'm excited for a new decade, a new beginning. I hope that this was somewhat interesting. It was kind of more for me, but for those of you who kind of know me, hopefully you've kind of gotten to know me a little bit better. I'd also really like to say something very quickly. Times are scary right now, and I believe that they are going to get a bit scarier. Please wear a mask, please social distance, and please treat people with kindness. That is all I want for my birthday. So thank you for watching, and I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Oh God, I'm ugly crying on camera.
I always save this for my therapy.
Louis? Louis? My child? Angel! 1 minute. Papa, I'm recording a video.
So it's not coming?
No. I'm almost done.
Okay. Not in your video. This sounds like funny.
You wanna?
I'm going to do something crazy.
Okay.
You have too many hits and it'll be too much headache. Nah, never mind.
What do you mean hits?
People watching it.
No, I don't have that many people watching.
I made a video going through the years and looking at what I did since I was 10 and telling myself stuff like what I would tell myself if I go back and tell myself. When I was 10.
We're 12 now.
No. So what would you like to tell me when I'm 20, which is in a few days?
Well, you will always be my little noonie. I don't care if you're 20 or 80. You hear?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't talk with your mouth full.
It's going on YouTube.
The
Yeah.
nice dude right now. Oh, a little extra massage would be nice.
No. Extra massage would be nice. Hey, wait, what would you tell me?
Extra massage.
As someone who's
He
21.
gives you a massage. You need to give me a massage.
No, that's his job now. Mom, what would you tell me?
Let me think about this.
Oh, Mom, I don't have time.
To always be true to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you love. Be kind to others. Be respectful.
Remember, Papa is the one and only one.
No. Never forget your family. And that we always love you, we encourage you, and we support you.
Well, thank you.
Let me see.
One.
Wait. Lulu. Cheeks. Very nice.